Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the second book of Samuel, that is Shmuel Bet. We are about to read chapter 20 together, and where we just left it off, David is returning to Jerusalem, and with a great entourage and everybody with all kinds of pomp and circumstance. The civil war is over, at least it seems to be over. And then the leaders of the people of Israel, the northern tribes, had an whole argument with the people of the leaders of Judah. And they have this huge debate over who should be the ones that lead the procession, bringing David back to Jerusalem. And we finished off the chapter saying that it was the leaders of Judah that ended up winning that argument, but the people of Israel were not that happy about it at all. And that's the impression that we were left with. Of course, this is going to lead to a worsening fight. Because of all of the happenings in the last few chapters, and David, instead of solidifying the unity between the two peoples, the people of Israel and the people of Judah, he did manage to maintain his kingdom over the two groups, a united kingdom, but it kept on getting fractured. We saw that fracture happening during the rebellion of Avshalom. We saw, hints of the northern tribes considering reinstituting the kingdom of Saul, which for a time period during the days of Ishbosheth, early in David's reign, actually had a separate kingdom in the north. So we see these two groups kind of the fracture, instead of healing, instead of growing together, all started coming apart. And we saw that this entire descent towards strife and disunity all began with the sin of Bathsheba. The sin of Bathsheba will therefore have lasting repercussions throughout history to this day. And this sin just continued to fracture the kingdom and planted the seeds for what eventually became the split kingdom, the northern kingdom and the south, which eventually led, arguably, to destruction and devastation, which haunted the Jewish people to this day. So Visham Nikra Ish Belial. However, now they're having this fight, they're having this argument. The people of Judah prevailed, and they are now leading the procession, bringing David back. But among the people of Israel, among the northern ones, there was one good-for-nothing guy, and Ish Belial is just a bad, boorish. So I see the term scoundrel being used. It's a term we've had several times describing people that were just people that are just cynical, always looking for a fight, never looking for any reconciliation or peace. There was a guy that fit that description, Ushmo, and his name was Sheva ben Bichri. His name was Sheva ben Bichri Ish Yemini. He was a man from the tribe of Benjamin, which was, of course, the tribe of Saul. Vayitka b'shofar, and he blew the shofar. Vayomer, and he said, "Ein lanu chelek b'David. We have no portion in David's kingdom." So as David is ruling only for the people of Judah, he's not interested in us. V'lo nachla lanu b'ben Yishai. We have no inheritance. We have nothing to be gained by staying with the son of Jesse, son of Yishai. Ish la'ohalav Yisrael. You, all people in Israel, just go back home and forget this whole thing. So Vayal kol ish Yisrael me'acharei David, and the people, the leaders of Israel, then therefore left the procession and left from following David. Acharei Sheva ben Bichri, and they followed this guy Sheva ben Bichri. V'ish Yehuda davku v'malkam min ha'Yarden v'ad Yerushalayim, and the leaders of Judah they stayed with their king and escorted him from the Jordan River, where he had crossed, all the way until Jerusalem. This does not bode well. Vayavo David el Beiso Yerushalayim. David came to his house in Jerusalem. Vayikach HaMelech et eser nashim pilagshim. And he took the 10 wives, the 10 concubines, asher hiniach l'shmor habayit, that he left to guard the household, vayitneim beit mishmeret vayechal, and he put them in a guarded home, vayechal, and he gave them supported them food, etc. However, valehem lo ba, he did not sleep with them. Vatiena tzurot ad yom mutan almunut chayos, and they remained in this condition like living widows. Widows whose husband is not dead, but exactly, this seems to be kind of stuck in the middle of all of this this drama going on with the people, this political drama. But it's kind of here to answer our curiosity. What did David do with the 10 wives after Avshalom violated them? And this is what David did. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? The question is, that's clearly they weren't willing participants in this. Clearly, Avshalom had forced them, so they would have been permitted to him. But for various reasons, for whatever David's reasons were, he did it. He dealt with them in this manner. Vayomer HaMelech el Amasa. The king said to Amasa. Now remember, Amasa was the leader of Avshalom's armies, and he said, "Hazek li et ish Yehuda shloshet yamim." I want you to get together all of the people of Judah, over the next 3 days, v'atob po amod, and come back here to greet me. It doesn't state exactly what it was that he had in mind. Like, was the king asking him to get the people together for war? What exactly was he doing? The traditional commentaries understand that he wanted to make an official appointment of Amasa as the leader of his army. Remember, he had appointed him informally. He said, Amasa, you were going to be the leader in place of Yoav. So here he wanted to gather together all the leaders in order that he can make an official appointment. Vayelech Amasa hazik et Yehuda, vayocher min hamoed asher ya'ado. And Amasa went to muster up, to call up the people of Judah. However, he delayed. He was late. He was not there on time at the time, which makes us wonder, what exactly was he doing? David was obviously gave him enough time to gather the people of Judah, which is, after all, close to Jerusalem, and that's his neighborhood. He could have sent riders out to get everybody together, but he took longer, and which makes us wonder if Amasa was up to some kind of no good. Now the verses give us no clear indication of this, but they give us the feeling that Amasa might not have been quite as loyal as David thought he was. And we're going to see more indications as we continue reading the story. Vayomer David el Avishai. David said to Avishai, right? Remember, Avishai is Yoav's brother, and Avishai is his very loyal but very hot-headed officer. Ata, now Yeira lanu Sheva ben Bichri min Avshalom. Now Sheva ben Bichri, the guy who told the people of Israel just to leave and they have no part with David, he's even worse than Avshalom was. Ata kachas avdei adonecha urdocha acharav. I want you to go take all of the servants of your master, in other words, take all of my soldiers, chase after him, pen matzalo arim bitzuros v'yitzileinenu. Before he finds, because he might, if we let him wander for too long, he might find himself a fortified city to set up shop in, and it might make it difficult for us to ever get him. Let's get him before he gets himself, the support and protection that he needs. Note, he called Avishai, not Yoav. He called Avishai to lead them. Remember, David is upset with Yoav, and soon he's going to be even more upset with Yoav, but we'll see what happens. Vayetzu acharav anshe Yoav. So after him, presumably after Avishai, went the men of Yoav, v'hakresi v'haplesi. the Kreti and the Plesi. These are these top level troops. B'chol Giborim, and all the strong soldiers. Vayetzu Yerushalayim. They left Jerusalem. L'rdof acharei Sheva ben Bichri, in order to chase Sheva ben Bichri, track him down, and dispatch of him. Heim im ha'evan ha'gedolah asher b'Givon. And they have, when they reached the big stone which was in Givon, v'Amasa ba lifnehem, and Amasa was coming before them. Now, what was he doing there? That makes us wonder what Amasa was doing if he was supposed to be wandering, if he was supposed to be gathering the people together. And it's likely, now that we see more of the story, maybe David wanted to get the leaders together in order to, and have Amasa lead the charge to get Sheva ben Bichri. But here Amasa is kind of wandering. He's late, and he wasn't where he was supposed to be. V'yoav chagor mido levusho v'alav chagor cherev mitzumedes hamasnav b'tara. Yoav was wearing he was belted, he was girded with his armor, his military uniform, and he had his belt which had his sword fastened around it with the sword in its sheath. V'hu yatzav atipol, and his main sword had fallen out of his sheath. So when he encountered Amasa, Vayomer Yoav l'Amasa, Amasa only saw that his sheath was empty and the sword was on the ground. So Yoav said to Amasa, Shalom ata achi, my brother, is everything okay with you? Vatochez yad yamin Yoav bizkan Amasa l'nishaklo. And Yoav took his right hand, which is the one that he would usually use to handle his sword, and held Amasa's beard and leaned over as if he was going to kiss him. Amasa lo nishmar b'cherev asher biyad Yoav, and Amasa was not aware about the sword that Yoav had in his other hand, because all he saw was the sword was not in his hand, but in its sheath. So he had another sword in his left hand, vayakeu v'alachomesh, and he struck him in the belly, vayishpoch me'av arza, until his innards, his guts, poured out on the ground. V'lo shana lo vayamos, with one stab it was enough to kill him. V'yoav v'avishai achiv radaf acharei Sheva ben Bichri, and then Yoav and Avishai his brother continued to run and chase after Sheva ben Bichri to find him. Yoav was apparently suspicious that Amasa was not loyal, especially since Amasa was the leader of Avshalom's armies. And here clearly this is something that David will not be happy about. Amasa was going to be the key for David to bring the people back together. And Yoav, by killing Amasa, was taking that possibility away from David and just creating more hatred and creating more division among the people. Although on the other hand, one can still understand Yoav as a military man, what he was thinking and why he did what he did. But we know that David will not be very happy about this at all. And one of Yoav's men stood over Amasa Vayomer, and he said, Mi asher chafetz b'Yoav, u'mi asher l'David achrei Yoav. Whoever is loyal to Yoav as a leader, and whoever is loyal to David should follow Yoav as their leader. V'Amasa miskolel badam esocham sila, and Amasa his body had rolled in the blood that was in the middle of the path. Vayar ha'ish ki amad kol ha'am, and the person saw that instead of following Yoav and moving on to find Sheva ben Bichri, they just stopped to stare at this awful sight, this corpse. Vayasev es Amasa min Amasila, he took the body of Amasa from the path, hasada, and put it in the field. Vayashlech alav beged, and covered it with a cloak. Kasher ra'akal haba alav amad. So when he saw that everyone that would come by would stop and look, that's why he did that. Kasher hoga min hamasila avar kol ish acharei Yoav l'rdof acharei Sheva ben Bichri. So this way, once he was removed from the road, every person that was following Yoav would, instead of stopping, they would run and chase. They would run after Yoav and running after Sheva ben Bichri to try to find him. Vaya avor b'chol shivtei Yisrael, and they passed through all of the tribes of Israel, Avelo, Beit Macha, v'chol ha'beirim, presumably looking for Sheva ben Bichri. Possibly he was running from place to place, and they were kept chasing him. Vayikalu vayavo af acharav, and they gathered together, the Be'erites, the Beirim, also came and helped chase after Sheva ben Bichri. So now he's about to take refuge in the city of Avela, because he said after they passed through all of the tribes of Israel, they ended up in Avela. We're going to pick up in the next podcast what happened when they cornered Sheva ben Bichri in the town and how he was extricated from the town. Thank you so much for studying the first half of chapter 20. Looking forward to studying the rest of chapter 20 with you, and of course the rest of the book of Samuel.